कृष्ण प्राप्ति कृष्ण प्राप्ति हो जाते गुरु मुख्या पद्मावाक्या चितत कोरियो क्या और ना कोरिया मन आशा और ना करियो मन आशा श्री गुरु चरण्य रति ऐसे उत्तम गति श्री गुरु चरण्य रति ऐसे उत्तम गति ये प्रसाद पूरे सर्व आशा ये प्रसाद पूरे सर्व आशा तक जान दिलो जे जन्म जन्म प्रभु से चको दान दिलो जे जन्म जन्म प्रभु से दिव्य ज्ञानी हृदय प्रकाशितो दिव्य ज्ञानी हृदय प्रकाशितो प्रेम भक्ति जायते अविद्या विनाश जाते प्रेम भक्ति जायते अविद्या विनाश जाते वेद गाय जर चरितो वेद गाय जर चरितो श्री गुरु करुणा सिंधु अधम जनरा बंधु श्री गुरु करुणा सिंधु अधम जनरा बंधु लोकना लोकर जीवाना लोकना लोकर जीवाना हा प्रभु करो दया देव मोर पद छया हा प्रभु करो दया देव मोर पद छया एबे जात गुसुक त्रिभुवाना शिला प्रभुपाद पतित पवाना Jaya Prabhupada, 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 Jai Prabhupada. Jai Patita Pavanchila, Prabhupada, Patita Pavanchila, Prabhupada. Jai Bhakti Vedanta Shila Prabhupada, Bhakti Vedanta Shila Prabhupada. Jai Jagat Guru Shila Prabhupada, Jagat Guru Shila Prabhupada. Jaya Jaya Prabhupada, 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 Prabhupada. Jai 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 Prabhupada, 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 Prabhupada. Namo Vishnupadaya Krishna Pristaya Bhutale Srimati Bhakti Vedanta Swaminiti Namine. Namo Vishnupadaya Krishna Pristaya Bhutale Srimati Bhakti Vedanta Swaminiti Namine. Namaste Saraswati Deve Gauravani Pracharine Nirvishesha Sunyavadi Paschita Desha Tarini. Namaste Saraswati Deve Gauravani Pracharine Nirvishesha Jaya Shri Krishna Gadadara Shivashari Gaur Bhakta Vrinda. Chaitanya Prabhu Nityananda Shri Advaita Gadadhar. Shri Krishna Chaitanya Prabhu Nityananda Advaita Gadadhara Shivashari Gaura Bhakta Vrinda. Hare Krishna, Hare Krishna, Krishna Krishna, Hare Hare, Hare Rama, Hare Rama, Rama Rama, Hare Hare, Hare. Hare Krishna, Hare Krishna, Krishna Krishna, Hare Hare, Hare Rama, Hare Rama, Rama Rama, Hare Hare. Hare Krishna, Hare Krishna, Krishna Krishna, Hare Hare, Hare Rama, Hare Rama, Rama Rama, Hare Hare, Hare Krishna, Hare Krishna. Wampus. Hare Krishna, Hare Krishna, Krishna Krishna, Hare Hare, Hare Rama, Hare Rama, Rama Rama, Hare Hare, Hare Krishna, Hare Krishna, Krishna Krishna, Hare Hare, Hare Rama, Hare Rama, Rama Rama, Hare Hare, Hare Krishna, Hare Krishna, Krishna Krishna, Hare Hare, Hare Rama, Hare Rama, Rama Rama, Hare Hare, Hare Krishna. Hare Krishna, Hare Krishna, Krishna Krishna, Hare Hare, Hare Rama, Hare Rama, Rama Rama, Hare Hare, Hare Krishna. Hare Krishna, Hare Krishna, Krishna Krishna, Hare Hare, Hare Rama, Hare Rama, Rama Rama, Hare Hare, Hare Krishna, Hare Krishna. Hare Krishna, Hare Krishna, Krishna Krishna, Hare Hare, Hare Rama, Hare Rama, Rama Rama, Hare Hare. Hare Krishna, Hare Krishna, Krishna Krishna, Hare Hare, Hare Rama, Hare Rama, Rama Rama, Hare Hare, Hare Krishna, Hare Krishna. Jaya Radha Radhanath Radha Radhanath Radhe. Jai Krishna Balaram Jai Krishna Balaram Krishna Balaram Jai Krishna Balaram. Jai Giri Govardhan, Giri Govardhan, Giri Govardhan, Jai Giri Govardhan. Jai Nitai Gauratundar Nitai, Gauratundar Gauratundar. Nitai Gauratunda Nitai Gauratunda Gauratunda. Jai Jagannath, Jai Jagannath, Jai Baladeva, Jai Subhadra, Jai Jagannath, Jai Jagannath, Jai Baladeva, Jai Subhadra. Jai Jagannath, Jai Jagannath, Jai Baladeva, Jai Subhadra. Jagannath. Jai Jagannath, Jai Jagannath, Jai Baladeva, Jai Subhadra. Jai Jagannath, Jai Jagannath, Jai Baladeva, Jai Subhadra. Jagannath Swamina, Janapati Gami, Nayana Patagami Bhavatami. Jagannath Swami Patigami. Jagannath Swami Nayana Patigami, Nayana Patigami Bhavatami. Jagannath Swami Nayana Patigami, Nayana Patigami. Jai Jagannath, Jai Jagannath, Jaya Baladeva, Jai Subhadra. Bolo! Jai Jagannath. Jai Jagannath, Jai Jagannath, Jaya Baladeva, Jaya Subhadra. Hare Krishna, Hare Krishna, Krishna Krishna, Hare Hare, Hare Rama, Hare Rama, Rama Rama, Hare Hare. Hare Krishna, Hare Krishna, Krishna Krishna, Hare Hare, Hare Rama, Hare Rama, Rama Rama, Hare Hare. Hare Krishna, Krishna Krishna, Hare Hare, Hare Rama, Hare Rama, Rama Rama, Hare Hare. Hare Krishna, Hare Krishna, Krishna Krishna, Hare Hare, Hare Rama, Hare Rama, Rama Rama, Hare Hare. Hare Krishna, Hare Krishna, Krishna Krishna, Hare Rama. Hare Krishna, Hare Krishna, Krishna Krishna, Hare Hare, Hare Rama, Hare Rama, Rama Rama, Hare Hare, Hare. Hare Krishna, Krishna Krishna, Hare Hare, Hare Ram, Ram Ram, Hare Hare. Hare Krishna, Krishna, Hare Hare, Hare Ram, Ram Ram, Hare Hare. Hare Krishna, Krishna Hare Hare Ram, Ram Ram, Hare Hare. Jaya Prabhupada, 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 Jaya Prabhupada. Jaya Patita Pavan Chila Prabhupada, Patita Pavan Chila Prabhupada. Jai Bhakti Vedanta Chila Prabhupada, Bhakti Vedanta Chila Prabhupada. Jaya Jagat Guru Chila Prabhupada, Jagat Guru Chila Prabhupada. Nitya Gora Haribo, 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 Haribo. Nitya Gora Haribo, 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 Haribo. Nitai Gaura Premanande, Nitai Gaura Premanande, Nitai Gaura Premanande.
Jayam Vishnupad Paramahamsa Parivrajgacharya Astatara Sata Shishimad Abhay Charanar Vinda Bhakti Vedanta Swami Prabhupada Ki Jayam Vishnupad Paramahamsa Parivrajgacharya Astatara Sata Shishimad Srila Bhakti Siddhanta Saraswati Thakur Maharaj Ki Ananta Koti Vaishnavrinda Ki Namacharya Srila Haridas Thakur Ki प्रेम से कहो श्री कृष्ण चैतन्य प्रभु नित्यानंद श्री अद्वैत गदाधर श्रीवासादि गौर भक्तवृंद की श्री श्री राधा कृष्ण गोपा गोपीनाथ श्याम कुंड राधा कुंड गिरि गोवर्धन की वृंदावन धाम की मायापुर नवद्वीप धाम की नीलाचल जगन्नाथपुरी धाम की गंगा माया जमुना माया की तुलसी देवी भक्ति देवी की The Lordships Jagannath, Baladev, Subhadra Maharani ki, The Lordship Shri Shri Radha Radhanath ki, लॉर्डशिप श्री श्री निताय गौर हरि की, हरि नाम संकीर्तन की, जगत गुरु शिल प्रभुपाद की, सामवेद भक्त वृंद की, गौर प्रेमानंदे हरि हरि बोल. All glories to the assembled devotees. All glories to the assembled devotees. All glories to the assembled devotees. All glories, all glories, all glories to Sri Guru and Gauranga. All glories to Srila Prabhupada. Hare Krishna. I can sing it if you want. Usually this. Jagannath, anybody allocated to sing Nishingadev prayer?
नृसिंहदेव भगवान की, प्रहलाद महाराज की, गौ प्रेमानंदे. नमस्ते नरसिंहाया, नमस्ते नरसिंहाया, प्रहलाद लाद दायिनी, प्रहलाद लाद दायिनी, हिरण्याकाशी पूर्वक्षः, हिरण्याकाशी पूर्वक्षः, श्रीलातनका नकालाये, श्रीलातनका नकालाये, इतो निशिंगो परतो निशिंगो, इतो निशिंगो परतो निशिंगो, यतो यतो यमिततो निशिंगो, यतो यतो मिततो निशिंगो, यतो यतो यमिततो निशिंगो, यतो तो यमिततो निशिंगो, बाहिर निशिंगो हृदये निशिंगो, बाहिर निशिंगो हृदये निशिंगो, नशिंगामधिं शरणं प्रपदे, नशिंगामधिं शरणं प्रपदे, नशिंगामधिं शरणं प्रपदे, नरसिंहां शरणं प्रपदे, तव कर कमलवरे नाकम् अद्भुत श्रृंगाम, दलिता हिरण्यकशिपुर तनुभृंगाम, कैसा बधिता नारा हरि रूपा, जय जगदीश हरे, जय जगदीश हरे, जय जगदीश हरे, तव कर कमलवर तनुभृंगा, ता नारा हरि रूपा, जय जगदीश हरे, Jai Jagdish Hare, Jai Jagdish Hare, Jaya Narsinghadev, 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 Jaya Narsinghadev, Jaya Narsinghadev. Bolo, Hare Bol. Jaya Prahlad Maharaj, Jaya Prahlad Maharaj, Prahlad Maharaj, Jaya Prahlad Maharaj, Jaya Prahlad Maharaj, oh Prahlad Maharaj, Prahlad Maharaj, Jaya Prahlad Maharaj, Jaya Lakshmi Narsingha, Jaya Lakshmi Narsingha, Lakshmi Narsingha, Jaya Lakshmi Narsingha, Jaya Lakshmi Narsingha, oh Lakshmi Narsingha, Lakshmi Narsingha, Jaya Lakshmi, Jaya Jaya Prabhupada, 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 Jaya Prabhupada, Prabhupada. लक्ष्मी नरसिंहदेव भगवान की, प्रहलाद महाराज की, गौ प्रेमानंदे, हरि हरि.
Hare Krishna. Welcome everyone today to the Sunday Love Feast program. It is wonderful to see so many familiar faces. Do we have any new faces today? Anyone new? First time coming? Second time? Well, second of many times. Thank you. Oh yes, Prabhu. So today we are very privileged and honored to have a very special guest. And he's not new to us. He is someone that is been our teacher, our preacher, and most importantly, our inspiration in the movement, learning about Krishna. And today, on our Love Feast program, we start off with the love feast within our heart, because we learn the joy within, lessons from Srimad Bhagavatam. So please, everyone, give a round of applause to His Grace, Smita Krishna Das. Thank you, Prabhu. Hare Krishna.
Hare Krishna. Thank you very much. Hare Krishna. Thanks. Hare Krishna, thank you for your welcome and introduction. Now I have to live up to it. So I'm glad you asked who came for the first time. Who's coming? Did you identify anyone? Who's there? Are you coming for the second time? That's wonderful. That means you were impressed by the first time. Isn't it? Good. So you have Maha Mantra, you're learning it? You're learning to chant? Well, here's a gift for you, the Maha Mantra. Come and take it. This is Sri Chaitanya Mahaprabhu, who inaugurated the chanting of the holy name, and that's what he taught. And learn it. Hare Krishna. What's your name? Naveen. Oh, we have a few of those here in the Thanks so much. Let's chant. Are there any smaller cartels? Smaller ones? Any smaller? That one, is that smaller? Let's see. slightly smaller. Okay, thanks. So let's chant Jai Radha Madhava. Thanks, Jagannath. You always play Madanga so nicely. Jaya Radha Madhava Kunja Bihari Jaya Radha Madhava Kunja Bihari Jaya Gopi Janavallabha Girivardhari Jaya Gopi Janavallabha Girivardhari Yashodanandana Braja Janaranjana Yasodanandana Braja Janaranjana Yamunatira Vanachari Yamunatira Vanachari Jaya Radha Madhava Kunja Bihari Jaya Radha Madhava Kunja Bihari Hare Krishna 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 Hare 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 Rama Hare Rama 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 Hare 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 Jaya Prabhupada 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 Jaya Prabhupada Nitai Gaura Haribol 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 Nitai Gaura Jagannath Baladev Subhadra Maharani ki Shri Shinitai Gaura Hari ki Srila Prabhupada ki Go Premanande Hari Hari Bol. There is a nice kirtan I walked into the Madhumanga Prabhu. Very nice. See, Madhumanga Prabhu is out and about on the streets distributing books. So Krishna is empowering him more and more. Comes up with some amazing tunes and all of that nowadays. Very good. So I needed a roving mic. You got it started? Okay. So before we start with the class proper, we're going to ask some questions. I want you to define for me happiness. So who would like to try first? So we don't want a long story, just a definition, like a line or two. Define happiness. And so you can say your name and you can then define it.
Hi, my name is Jayan Singh. Jayan Singh.
Cheers.
Yeah, happiness is when you are God conscious, when you are Krishna conscious. That's what happiness is all about. You're God conscious.
Okay. Thank you. Thank you. Naveen, what do you think?
I think if you found the place of God in your heart, that to me will be happiness.
All right. Thanks. Anybody on this side? Prabhu, you want to try? Give him the mic. Everybody must hear you. Your name?
Hare Krishna. My name is Vamlan. Vamlan.
Vimlan.
Yes.
Vimlan.
I think happiness deals with the state of emotion related to the mind.
Okay. What state of emotion?
Can be related to ecstasy.
Ecstasy. Not like the drug. Right?
No, not at all.
Mataji's? Anybody can. Okay, we come back to you.
Not really.
My name is Malika. I think it's a feeling that you really can't explain. It's when you don't want anything, you don't need anything, it's like you have it all.
That could be like a wealthy person. So what exactly are you feeling when you have this? You don't want anything, you have it all. What exactly are you feeling?
A joy within that you really can't explain.
Oh, okay. All right. It's a joy. All right. Prabhu's hand was going up here, so here in front of. I met you previously, right?
My name is Ricky Naidu.
Yes, Vicky.
In this entire planet, during Kali Yuga time, no guru, no Maulana, no pastor can give you a happiness beside Krishna. Om Namah Shivaya.
Hare Krishna. All right. Prabhu, they're sitting on the bench behind you. Want to the answer? Oh, he was pointing. You take the mic on that side, maybe a few more answers. Happiness.
Hare Krishna.
Hare Krishna.
Name is Mahananda Das. I feel there is no happiness in this material world. The real happiness is when your soul is in sync with the Supreme Personality of Godhead. That's when there is really happiness.
Okay. Thanks. Check the back row there, the last row there. The gentleman in the blue shirt, his hands are folded. He looks happy. He can define for us. And take it over on that side too.
Hare Krishna, my name is Amit Daya. Happiness is when you serve Lord Krishna, chanting and always being around devotees and chanting the holy names.
Okay, thank you. Thanks, Jagannath Prabhu. We can get a few more of the Vaishnavis.
Good morning, my name is Rani. I think happiness is trust and respect.
Happiness is?
You must be happy. Happiness, you must respect each other and you must trust. Honesty.
So it's got to do with the respect.
Happiness can come from that and other things will follow. If you have respect and you honesty in you, other things will automatically come to you.
Okay.
The good things.
So you're saying respect and honesty brings happiness.
Haribol, everybody. I'm coming here for the first time, and I had to find my way. I'm Usha Budden, and it's such an awesome experience to be here, and that is happiness itself. I think it's a very temporary emotion, all to do with the mind, what you make of it. In a split second you can be happy, and the next you can be absolutely devastated. So it's all to do with the mental capacity. Thank you.
Jai, Hare Krishna. You came first time, Mataji? First time you're here today.
Yes, first time, Prabhu.
Mataji asked who came first time. You didn't put your hand up. I can give you one of these two. Vimlan Prabhu. Oh, Mataji is coming.
Anybody else?
They'll make her walk so far. She might not be so happy. Thank you, Mataji. Any one more? Take one more, Vaishnavi. What's happiness?
Mataji says, chant and be happy.
Chant and be happy. Okay. Thank you for participating in answering that question. So then why are some people not happy, even when they're here? Even when they're in Krishna consciousness for the last 20 years maybe. Still they're not happy. If I hear them griping and groaning, this person is like that person is like that. Then why they're not happy? I'm sure they'll say the same thing about the husband. Anybody wants to say? Jagannath, we still need that microphone. So there's Prabhu here in front.
Hare Krishna Prabhu, my name is Niren. To find the ultimate abode of the Lord, we have to strive for that. And that abode is Vrindavan. When we have all our attention focused on Vrindavan, that abode of the Lord is where we can find happiness. Right in this material world, wherever we are, we would pay obeisances to the Lord in Vrindavan, and that's the state we need to attain. Haribol.
So you're answering my question by saying we don't have that state now.
Prabhu,
Just yes or no?
at the moment, it's no.
So that's why we're unhappy.
We have to strive, really struggle to attain that state.
Okay. So why is it a struggle? Mataji said chant and be happy. I'm chanting my beads for so long. Some others are chanting so long. Are we really happy? So let's see what Srimad Bhagavatam says. Narayanam namaskrityam naram chaiva narottamam devim saraswati vyasa tato jaye Nasta prayeshu avadreshu nityam bhagavata sevaya. Bhagavati uttama shloke bhakti bhavati naistake. Om namo bhagavate vasudevaya. Om namo bhagavate vasudevaya. Om namo bhagavate vasudevaya. So we're reading from Srimad Bhagavatam, Canto 1, Chapter 2, Text 6, 1, 2, 6. Savapum samparo dharma yato bhakti radoksaje. Ahoitukeya pratihata yayatma shuprashidati. You can repeat. Savaya pumsam parodharmo. Savapumsam parodharmo. Yato bhaktir adhokshaje. Yato bhaktir adhokshaje. Ahoituke apratihata. Ahoituki apratihata. Yayatma suprasidati. Yayatma suprasidati. Mataji is sitting on the floor there in the back. Yes. Come. You okay there? Savapum samparo dharma yato bhakti radokshaje. Ahaituki apratihata yayatma shuprashidati. The translation by His Divine Grace A.C. Bhaktivedanta Swami Prabhupada. The supreme occupation, dharma, for all humanity is that by which men, people, can attain to loving devotional service unto the transcendent Lord. Such devotional service must be unmotivated and uninterrupted to completely satisfy the self. So you may repeat, the supreme occupation, dharma, for all humanity is that by which men can attain to the loving devotional service unto the transcendent Lord. Such devotional service must be unmotivated and uninterrupted to completely satisfy the self. The purport by His Divine Grace A.C. Bhaktivedanta Swami Prabhupada. In this statement, Sri Sutta Goswami answers the first question of the sages of Naimisharanya. The sages asked him to summarize the whole range of revealed scriptures and present the most essential part so that the fallen people or the people in general might easily take it up. The Vedas prescribe two different types of occupation for the human being. One is called the pravritti marg, or the path of sense enjoyment. The path of enjoyment, and the other is called, nivritti marg, or the path of renunciation. The path of enjoyment is inferior, and the path of sacrifice for the supreme cause is superior. The material existence of the living being is a diseased condition of actual life. Actual life is spiritual existence, or Brahma Bhuta existence, where life is eternal, blissful, and full of knowledge. Material existence is temporary, illusory, and full of miseries. There is no happiness at all. There is just the futile attempt to get rid of the miseries, and temporary cessation of misery is falsely called happiness. Therefore, the path of progressive material enjoyment, which is temporary, miserable, and illusory, is inferior. But devotional service to the Supreme Lord, which leads one to eternal, blissful, and all-cognizant life, is called the superior quality of occupation. This is sometimes polluted when mixed with the inferior quality. For example, adoption of devotional service for material gain is certainly an obstruction to the progressive path of renunciation. Renunciation or abnegation for ultimate good is certainly a better occupation than enjoyment in the diseased condition of life. Such enjoyment only aggravates the symptoms of disease and increases its duration. Therefore, devotional service to the Lord must be pure in quality, without the least desire for material enjoyment. One should therefore accept the superior quality of occupation in a form of devotional service of the Lord without any tinge of unnecessary desire, fruitive action, and philosophical speculation. This alone can lead one to perpetual solace in His service. We have purposely, Prabhupada is saying we is referring to himself with a royal plural. We have purposefully denoted dharma as occupation, because the root meaning of the word dharma is, in inverted commas, in quotes, that which sustains one's existence. A living being's sustenance of existence is to coordinate his activities with his eternal relation with the Supreme Lord Krishna. Krishna is the central pivot of living beings, and He is the all-attractive living entity or eternal form amongst all other living beings or eternal forms. Each and every living being has his eternal form in the spiritual existence, and Krishna is the eternal attraction for all of them. Krishna is the complete whole, and everything else is His part and parcel. The relation is one of the servant and the served. It is transcendental and is completely distinct from our experience in a material existence. This relationship of servant and the served is the most congenial form of intimacy. One can realize it as devotional service progresses. Everyone should engage himself in that transcendental loving service of the Lord, even in the present conditional state of material existence. That will gradually give one the clue to actual life and please Him to complete satisfaction. Om Jnana Timirandasya Gyananjana Shalakaya Chakshurunmilitam Yena Tasmai Shri Guruve Namaha. Namo Vishnu Padaya Krishna Pastaya Bhutale Srimate Bhakti Vedanta Swami Iti Namine. Namaste Saraswati Deve Gauravani Pracharine Nirvishesha Sunyavadi Paschatya Desha Tarine. Jai Shri Krishna Chaitanya Prabhu Nityananda Shri Advaita Gadadhar Srivasadi Gaura Bhakta Vrinda. Everyone, Hare Krishna, Krishna Krishna, Hare Hare, Hare Rama. Nilachal Nivashaya Nityaya Paramatmane Balabhadra Subhadrabhyam Jagannathaya Te Namaha Vande Guru Nisha Bhaktan Nisha Ishavatarakam Tat Prakasham Tat Shakti Krishna Chaitanya Saunigam Vande Shri Krishna Chaitanya Nityananda Sahodito Godadaya Pushpavanto Chitra Sandotamo Nuda Mukam Karoti Vachalam Pangam Langayate Girim Yat Kripa Tamaham Vande Shri Guru Dinatarinam. So it's a wonderful purport and a wonderful verse. So in this verse, Srila Prabhupada is translating the word occupation. Srimad Bhagavatam, the purport, I'll read the translation. The supreme occupation for all humanity is that by which men can attain to loving devotional service unto the transcendent Lord. Such devotional service must be unmotivated and uninterrupted to completely satisfy the self. So Srila Prabhupada translates the word occupation as, or he actually translates the word dharma as occupation, vice versa. So dharma is the eternal constituent or constitutional position of the living entity. Comes from the root word dhri, the essence of something. So what's the essence of this? Of water? Liquidity, right? What's the essence of a chili? Pungency. So what's the essence of the soul? Soul is spiritual, yes, but what's the essence? Yes. Consciousness is a symptom of the soul. Another bit. Eternal servant of the Supreme Lord, yes. The essence of the soul is love. Love for the Supreme Lord, Krishna. That is why in this world we are seeking that in everything we do. Nobody does anything to seek distress. They do it because they think it will bring them some pleasure or happiness. So we are all motivated by pleasure and enjoyment. And why is that? It's because your original nature is to have a loving propensity. But when we've fallen into the spiritual, into the material nature, we become covered by the three modes of material nature. And it's now an incompatible situation because the original loving consciousness, propensity that you had, is being projected through matter onto matter. And therefore, through your senses, you think, whatever I see, whatever I taste, whatever I feel, whatever I smell, whatever I desire is what will bring us happiness. Because it's related to the body and the mind and the intelligence. Because without Krishna consciousness, the mind, the body, mind, and intelligence are all still material. So we find people engaging in things that satisfy the senses, and in that way, when they get temporary relief and pleasure, they feel it is happiness. Then those who are engaged in the mental platform, so many things people do on the mental platform, right? They try to appreciate art, they speculate in the mind, they as people say, I have been working the whole week, my mind is exhausted, let me go and sit on the beach and look at the water and the sunset and whatever. I want my mind to be at ease. I want my mind to be peaceful. So it's on the mental platform. And then intelligence, on this Gyan platform, people are speculating so many things. Everybody, like in the context in which I am, everybody has to publish some paper in a journal somewhere to say that they are achieved intellectually. And when the more they have of that, then the more they get recognized and they feel a type of satisfaction coming from that. Yes, it's me, I published, I wrote, I did this and that. So the Vedas, Bhagavatam explains that there are different levels at which we experience, or which we actually experiences happiness, and it differentiates between sukh, happiness, and anandam, which is bliss, joy. So there's a difference. The Vedic thoughts, Vedic scriptures are very scientific. People sometimes think this is people practicing the teaching of the Vedas, it's all just sentiment and so on, but it's very, very scientific. And you find an analysis is made of happiness and joy. So in the material psychology, there's somebody called Abraham Maslow. You heard of Maslow? Maslow speaks about this hierarchy of needs. It's like he represents it in a triangle. And at the base he says, people's basic needs have to be met first, like water, food, clothing, shelter, electricity. Well, yeah. So basic needs, but pertaining to the body. Before electricity, people survived. So basic needs to the body. And then as you satisfy that, then there are other needs that you'll fulfill, that education, safety, all of that. And it goes up and up to a finer and finer point where then at the top it says aesthetic and spiritual needs. So if somebody, according to him, if you're struggling with your meeting your basic needs, then you don't think of so-called higher things that belong to the mind and the intelligence. It is flawed, the theory is flawed, because we know there are many, many poor people who are very devoted to the Supreme. Right? So it's not like they have to get what they have to get before they get devotion to the Lord. But a similar model is given in Srimad Bhagavatam, and it's described as different levels: Anamoya, Pranamoya, Manomoya, Vijnanamoya, and then Anandamoya. So Ana means grain. So Anamoya, the person, the individual is very focused on food. Baby will cry for some milk. Anamoya. Or some basic needs have to be satisfied. Then there's Pranamoya, about pran, activity, movement, activity. Some needs have to be satisfied there. Then Mano is mind, Manomaya. Then there's satisfaction of the mind has to take place. Then Vijnanamoya, from the word gyan, intellectual, intelligence. And then anandamaya, anand, that is bliss. So when these different levels are satisfied, then one comes to the platform of anandamaya. So you can see there's parallels, and Bhagavatam is, sometimes you think these psychologists and philosophers, they have usurped the knowledge from the Vedas. They read it somewhere and then they take it and claim it as their own. Generally the West has a very disturbing way of doing that. They take things from different cultures and pass it off on their own. So many things. So we see in Bhagavatam these different levels are being discussed. So essentially happiness then is regarded as a temporary, somebody said it, Mataji said, a very temporary situation. If we can use an analogy, if the room is in darkness and you want some light, you can light a lamp and then the darkness dissipates. But only as long as the lamp is burning. And when the lamp burns out, the darkness returns. But when the sun rises and you go outdoors, there's no need for a lamp, because the sun is illuminating everything brighter than the millions of lamps. So happiness is compared to the lamp, and anand is compared to the sun. Krishna Surya Sama Maya Haya Andhakara Yahan Krishna Taha Nahi Maya Adhikar. Krishna is like the sun, and Maya is darkness. Wherever there's Krishna, darkness will not prevail. Maya will not be there. So in the same way, we are trying to attain happiness, and happiness is a temporary state. We want to go beyond happiness, and we want to achieve blissfulness. So the Vedas are very, very user-friendly. Because people have all of these different desires to achieve and attain in this world, the Vedic practice allows the individual or the spirit soul who is entrapped in this body to enjoy in this world also. Because we all want to enjoy. So the Vedas say, if you want to enjoy in this world, then enjoy in a regulated way. And therefore they introduce karma kanda. This is called Purva Mimamsa, the preliminary Vedic teachings. The karma kanda system is where people are asked or required to engage in trying to enjoy. You want money, you want health, you want good situation, even good wife, good husband, good children. All of that is given in the karma kanda. Kanda means section. The fruitive section of the Vedas, where ritualistic worship is engaged in with the demigods. However, the stipulation is that you have to do it exactly as prescribed. When you do it exactly as prescribed, that is called piety. And if you do it, try to enjoy separately from that, that is sinful activity. So, if you want to enjoy, you do it according to the right prescriptions, then that is called pious activity. Pious activities brings the material rewards. And sinful activity, though bringing temporary rewards, results in misery. So you may want to have money. You can engage in karma kanda and you can then get wealth through pacifying the demigods, satisfying the demigods. Or you can go to a bank and steal it. The one who pacifies the demigods through his prayers would probably get some material reward. May not even necessarily be in this life, because you may get to heavenly planets in the next life and you got your desire fulfilled. But the person who is engaged in not following the prescriptions, then he'll be arrested. Well, we hope. Not so much in South Africa, they don't get arrested here. But eventually, right? But now we're seeing, at least somehow, I'm noticing the South African police have upped their game a bit. I think it was because people complimented them on that Monday when there was supposed to be a protest. This is just my speculation. You know, success brings success. Praise encourages people. So then they up the game a bit. But nonetheless, getting back to the point, this karma kanda then, Krishna says in Bhagavad Gita that for those who want to worship the demigods, I make their faith steady, but it's avidi purvakam. But they do so in the wrong way. I make their faith steady because everything comes from me, Krishna says. And then with the consequence of that is that they enjoy in this life, maybe the next life. If you want to become a king also, you can become a king. If you want to become a ruler of a planet, you can also become a ruler of a planet. As we see in Srimad Bhagavatam. Right? They worship, engage in the worship, and then they get granted certain planets. Or you may have mixed devotional service also, and the Supreme Lord may grant you, like Dhruva Maharaj. But nonetheless, you get promoted, you enjoy the rewards of your prescriptive activities, and you fall back in here when it's exhausted. When your credit card is exhausted in the spiritual, in the heavenly planets, you come back here again in this planet. Again you go through birth, old age. Janma, Mritya, Jara, Vyadi, over and over. Then with that kind of life, eventually you will ask the question, I'm doing all of these things, but still I have to be subject to birth, old age, disease, death, birth, old age. People I love are dying, my situation is changing. So actually, I'm suffering. I'm not really enjoying. So let me make some endeavor to get the reason. So that is where we move to Atato Brahma Jignasa. We start to inquire about the spiritual truths. And the entity, the person, will then move to another platform of philosophy known as Nyaya, where you inquire, why am I suffering? What is this all about? And with that kind of practice, with that kind of thinking, you start to progress and you come to the platform of what is called Vaisheshika, which is known as atomic theory, where you can understand that everything represented in this world is actually Maya, it's illusion, because it's all just atoms anyway. Whatever I'm seeing here, it's all just atoms. Nothing. So by now the person is progressing, and therefore he engages in Sankhya Yoga. Sankhya means to analyze. So in Bhagavad Gita, the second chapter, Krishna outlines Sankhya to Arjuna, because Arjuna was bewildered, and Krishna is now outlining Sankhya, that you're not the body. This body consists of Bhumi, Rapo, Analo, Vayu, Kam, Mano, Bhudir, Evacha, Ahankar, Astikyam, Bhina, Prakriti, Astadha. Earth, water, fire, air, ether, mind, intelligence, false ego. These are the constituents of the material body. Earth, water, fire, ether. You can understand. Those of you who did some basic physics, go to the back of your science lab, you see the table of elements: carbon, hydrogen, oxygen, nitrogen, sulfur. Earth, water, fire, air, ether. Same thing. And then the subtle: mind, intelligence, false ego. The false ego means misidentification. You're thinking I'm this body. But we are not the body. So there's real ego and there's false ego. The real ego is, I am spirit soul, servant of Krishna. So you're at this platform. So the Sankhyaites, the Sankhya yogis, they are analyzing the material world, very much like the scientists. They're analyzing the world and they break it down into its constituents. They analyze, they find the body, then the senses, then the actions of the senses: smelling, taste, seeing, touch. Then the working senses: the hands, the genitals, the feet, the anus. And then eventually, like this, they break down and they come up with 24 elements. And the 25th element is Mahatattva, the origin of all of this in the spiritual sky. So they break it down like this, but then they realize for these elements to be experienced, there must be somebody to experience it. Therefore, amongst all of these elements, who is that person experiencing it? And that's how they understand that the person who's experiencing is different from the actual constituents. And that is the I, the spirit soul, who actually comes from another dimension. And therefore now to understand who they are, they move to yoga. The soul is evolving, you can see. So in practice yoga, Astanga yoga, they start to want to understand yoga. They want to understand their position and the spiritual world through the practice of yoga. Astanga yoga is what the yogis do. They engage in the Himalayas, etc. They try to withdraw their senses. Pratyahara, they withdraw their senses. So the first two things, yama and niyama, is that you have to have rules and regulations. There are many yogis and people who claim to do yoga, but they eat meat, they have alcohol, and illicit sex. So how can they be yogis? They are just attached to the third stage of yoga. There's yama, niyama, rules and regulations, and there's asana, activities. So this is what all the celebrities go do in the gyms. Asana, the yoga, stretching this way and that way. And so many, many deviations of yoga. Just for sense enjoyment, using a spiritual practice for further sense enjoyment. There's something else. Shivaram Swami Maharaj did a short video on that. It was quite nice. You see, he says so many different types of yoga, and then he showed beer yoga. They're actually doing yoga, and then they take a sip of beer. Then they do some more exercise, take another sip of beer. So it's crazy. It's actually deviation. It's so weird. So in this way, the person, going back to the original yoga, which is given by Patanjali, that practice, they try to do this and try to understand the world. And then eventually, they focus inwards on the heart, and they see themselves as the spirit soul, and they are able to see the Paramatma. And that the yogi then becomes steady and fixed, internal, known as samadhi. But there's no service. So after engaging in that process, by the mercy of a devotee, they can take to the last stage of this, and which is Uttar Mimamsa, the highest stage, which is bhakti. So the spirit soul then, having traversed through all of these different processes, you can understand that those who are becoming devotees now, they have transcended all of these things in all of their lives. Therefore they can come straight to this highest platform of practice here. You don't have to go through all of that. Been there, done that. So now we are in this practice of devotional service, and the devotee is still seeking happiness even in devotional service. Like we do pray to the Supreme Lord, give us this, give us that. This is mixed devotional service. But with the course of time, we become purified from that even. Then we see, even in devotional service, that our happiness that we called is actually not to be derived from any of those things, because the joy lies within who you are, the spirit soul. Jagannath Baladev Subhadra Maharani ki jai. And we'll conclude, maybe take one question just before we go into the Aarti, but that can be evoked through the process given to us, which is the natural constitutional position of the soul, is to utter the holy names of God, glorifying the Lord through the chanting of the holy name, the process given to us by Chaitanya Mahaprabhu to revive the dormant consciousness of the spirit soul. And the dormant consciousness is that we are eternally lovers of Krishna, and therefore we'll be eternally happy or joyful. We make the distinction now. We'll be eternally joyful, blissful when we are ahaituki apratihata. That is, as the verse says, ahaituki apratihata, and that is unmotivated and uninterrupted. So unmotivated demands a great degree of humility. And humility means that we engage in our devotional service without wanting to be recognized for our efforts. We're simply the servant of the servant of the servant, unlimited times. So it'll take time to get to that platform, but we also have to practice it. And it does not mean, however, that other devotees should not recognize your service. Don't think, oh, I'm helping him in his humility, let me not encourage him. No, other devotees have to appreciate and recognize. But when you do get the recognition and you do get the appreciation, immediately you pass that on to your spiritual master, and you feel, I'm nothing without him, I'm nothing without Srila Prabhupada. So please, I try to pray. I mean, I'll share a little secret with you. When I come to do these classes and so on, I always pray to my spiritual master and Srila Prabhupada to please help me keep my pride under. And I come stand before the deities and say to myself, you're a fake. It helps me. So we try like that, because we come, we get chosen somehow to come give a class and so on, then it's very easy to get into this mood that all the people are sitting and listening to me, and I'm so great, all of these things go. It's not. It's a privilege and honor to be able to be given a chance to say something that we might have studied and share with everybody. And mostly by preaching, you listen to it yourself. And it's like a form of speaking to oneself. So at the end of it all, I'm telling myself, be humble. Okay. We take one question. Prabhu? Well, let's try to keep the question right now related to this topic, the joy within. Subhadra was his sister, but we can discuss that later. When Krishna appeared, the form that appeared with Krishna is the expansion of Subhadra. So Subhadra is a sister. But is a question related to the theme.
Hi Krishna Prabhu, thank you so much for your class. In line with the theme, it is said that one's heart, just by hearing the pastimes of the Lord and listening to one speak about the Lord, is purifying to the heart. And that the heart is actually like a lotus flower where we want to clear it and make place for the Lord to reside. And it is so important for us to prepare that heart and with love and devotion and the importance of devotional service. Can you expand on that?
Our consciousness is compared to the lotus. You have the lotus in different stages, from budding to blooming consciousness. So similarly, by hearing, Vasudeva Katha Ruchi Bhakti Yoga Prayojita Janayati Ashu Vairagyam Jnana Chayad Ahaitakam. That simply by hearing Vasudev, simply hearing about Vasudev Katha, then what happens? Janayati Ashu Vairagyam. Janayati, Jan, born, birth, Ashu, quickly, very quickly the birth or the appearance of Vairagyam, detachment, takes place in your heart. And Janayati Jnana Chayad Ahaitukam, that the causeless knowledge also. So two things happen when you listen to Krishna Katha. By that, detachment and knowledge takes place. We don't have to endeavor separately for that. And every time you're hearing Krishna Katha, then you're purifying yourself more and more and more. And that consciousness of the budding lotus is blooming until be a full-bloomed consciousness in which you're always fully in love with Krishna. So every time we hear, that's why it says, Nasta prayeshu abhadreshu nityam bhagavata sevaya bhagavati uttama shloke bhaktir bhavati naistake. That simply by attendance to Srimad Bhagavatam class on Bhagavatam, and service to the pure devotee, all the misgivings, all that which is troublesome to the heart is dissipated. Because now you are engaging your consciousness. As you are sitting here, right, and listening to Bhagavatam, how many of you were actually thinking about your worries? Like even if you came to Krishna with your worries, but in that time you were listening, if you take that 5 minute, 10 minute, which you really gave you absorption there, did you really have anxiety at that time? Like, are you sitting and listening in anxiety? No. because now your consciousness is fully listening, and this is a spiritual subject matter. We read Srila Prabhupada's purport, and by his words, it's entering your consciousness and elevating your consciousness. So in that way, we get purified. Right. Thank you very much for your questions, and we'll have some kirtan for the Aarti now. Who would like to sing? Who's singing today? Hare Krishna. Thanks. Hare Krishna. Hare Krishna. Come sing.
You don't want to sing? Yeah, Prabhu can sing.
Srimate Bhakti Vedanta Swami Iti Namine Ama Namaste Saraswati Deve Gauravani Pracharine Nirvishesha Shunyavadi Prasjajadi Satarine Namaste Jaya Shri Krishna Chaitanya Prabhu Nityananda Sri Advaita Gadada Shivasati Gaura Bhaktavinda Jaya
Make an announcement for the 10 campaign. Okay.
Jaya Shri Krishna Chaitanya Prabhu Nityananda Sri Advaita Gadada Shivasati Gaura Bhaktavinda Jaya Hare Krishna, Krishna Krishna, Hare Hare, Hare Rama, Rama Rama, Hare Hare, Hare Krishna, Hare Bol. Hare Krishna, Krishna Krishna, Hare Hare, Hare Rama, Rama Rama, Hare Hare, Hare Krishna, Gauranga Ganga. Hare Rama, Hare Rama. Hare Krishna, Hare Krishna. Krishna Krishna, Hare Hare. Hare Rama, Hare Rama. Rama Rama, Hare Hare. Hare Krishna, Krishna. Hare Rama, Hare Rama. Hare Krishna, Hare Krishna. Krishna Krishna, Hare Hare. Hare Rama, Hare Rama. Rama Rama, Hare Hare. Hare Krishna, Hare Krishna. Hare Hare Rama, Hare Rama. Oh, Hare Krishna, Hare Krishna. Krishna Krishna, Hare Hare. Hare Rama, Hare Rama. Rama Rama, Hare Hare. Hare Krishna, Krishna. Hare Krishna, Hare Krishna. Krishna Krishna, Hare Hare. Hare Rama, Hare Rama. Rama Rama, Hare Hare. Hare Krishna. Hare Rama, Hare Rama. Hare Krishna, Hare Krishna. Krishna Krishna, Hare Hare. Hare Rama, Hare Rama. Rama Rama, Hare Hare. Hare Krishna. Hare Krishna, Hare Krishna. Krishna Krishna, Hare Hare. Hare Rama, Hare Rama. Rama Rama, Hare Hare. Hare Krishna. Krishna Krishna, Hare Hare. Hare Rama, Hare Rama. Hare Krishna, Hare Krishna. Krishna Krishna, Hare Hare. Hare Rama, Hare Rama. Rama Rama, Hare Hare. Hare Krishna. Hare Krishna, Hare Krishna. Krishna Krishna, Hare Hare. Hare Rama, Hare Rama. Rama Rama, Hare Hare. Hare Krishna, Hare Krishna. Hare Hare Rama, Hare Rama. Rama Rama, Hare Hare Krishna, Hare Krishna. Krishna Krishna, Hare Hare. Hare Rama, Hare Rama. Rama Rama, Hare Hare. Hare Krishna, Hare Krishna. Krishna Krishna, Hare Hare. Krishna Krishna Hare Hare, Hare Rama 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 Hare Hare, Hare Krishna Krishna Hare Krishna Hare Krishna, Krishna Krishna Hare Hare, Hare Rama 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 Hare Hare, Hare Krishna Hare Krishna, Hare Rama Hare Rama, Hare Krishna Hare Krishna, Krishna Krishna Hare Hare, Hare Rama 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 Hare Hare, Hare Krishna Hare Krishna 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 Hare Hare, Hare Ram 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 Hare Hare, Hare Krishna Hare Krishna 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 Hare Hare, Hare Ram 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 Hare Hare, Hare Krishna Hare Krishna 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 Hare Hare, Hare Ram Ram Hare Hare. Jai Jagannath, Jai Jagannath, Jai Baladeva, Jai Subhadra, Jagannath Swami. Jai Jagannath, Jai Jagannath, Jai Baladeva, Jai Subhadra, Jai Baladeva, Jai Jagannath, Jai Jagannath, Jai Baladeva, Jai Subhadra. Jai Jagannath, Jai Jagannath, Jai Baladeva, Jai Subhadra. Jai Jagannath, Jai Jagannath, Jai Baladeva, Jai Subhadra. Jai Jagannath, Swami Jai Jagannath, Jai Baladeva, Jai Subhadra. Jai Jagannath, Jai Jagannath, Jai Baladeva, Jai Subhadra. Jaya Nitai Gaura Sundar Nitai Gaura Sundar Gaura Sundar. Jaya Nitai Gaura Sundar Nitai Gaura Sundar Gaura Sundar. Jaya Prabhupada 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 Jai Prabhupada. Prabhupada, 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 Jaya Prabhupada. Go, Hari Bol, Hari Bol, Hari Bol, Gaura Hari Bol. Ekta Gaura Hari Bol, Hari Bol. Hari Bol, Gaura Hari Bol.